What's going on, Buff Nation? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be discussing Coach Professor Prime as he stepped into the classroom today and spoke to some students at Colorado about a few things: NIL, recruiting, how to handle your business, how to go about how to go about things a certain way. It was a fantastic interview in the classroom. The entire interview is on Well Off Media. Go check the thing out. It's about 45 minutes long. We're going to talk about just a few tidbits here today. Some of my favorite things that I like that we saw. Before we do any of that, though, of course, roll the intro. I flushed my kids down in the club. I love the comment section because it's so short. People are wanting more. Like, what is this? What is the song? And maybe eventually we'll play the whole thing. But until then, I'm just going to keep reeling you back with the music because I feel like that's what you guys come for, just to get a little bit more, maybe to see what it is. Play a little Spotify clip to see what music it is. Anyways, let's dive right into it. So, first order of business, he addresses some things that happened last year and how he managed the team. It's very interesting. I'm going to play the clip and then give you my thoughts about it because, again, I love it.
Good with what we had to work with. I'm responsible, so we all have say-so on the young men that come in, but I have final say-so, of course. But I'm kind of I delegate pretty well. I don't micromanage. So if you're a receiver coach, I allow you to go get your receivers. You know, certain positions. But now I'm a little more hands-on because I see how that can go. It went really well when we were at Jackson, but not last season. We had what we needed, but we didn't have enough. If you all came to the games, we got our butt kicked twice on the road.
This is very interesting. Okay, look at this at all levels here. So he talks about how at Jackson State he was able to do his own thing. He trusted the staff around him to do their own thing. I didn't need to micromanage. Hey, you got your staff. You got your staff. We're good. We're vibing. We're on the same page. Let's rock. You head to Colorado. A lot of things change. You bring in new faces. You bring in new staff. Get into a little bit higher level competition. It evolves, right? It's not necessarily that your way of managing is wrong. It's just everything else around you is changing. It may take a little bit longer. And this is where, again, people question Coach Primus if he's able to do this job. Can he coach? Can he do these things? Some coaches take 2 years, maybe even sometimes 3, to notice, hey, this style isn't working. I have to get more hands-on. I have to adjust from what I did last year. I also think it plays a lot into the fact that we haven't had a DC yet. He's waiting. He's genuinely trying to make sure that, hey, this thing is going to work. We're going to plug in and make this happen. We're not in the time to, test anymore. That was last year. We got to go out there and win. So I love hearing this. Again, Bus fans, you got to look at this and be like, hey, this is exciting stuff. And watching him evolve and adapt literally right before our eyes, which, again, why I love watching Will Off, why we're able to see all this stuff. It just makes it exciting because you don't get this with a lot of coaches. Now, next up here, we're going to talk about how he's handling the portal and how they plan to approach it over the next few months. I'm going to play the clip and we'll talk about it.
Young men and women, women could just leave. So you got to insulate yourself and say, okay, we may lose 6 after the spring, but we already got these young men already on standby. Or we already are thinking that these young men may jump into the portal from wherever they are, and we need those positions.
So we talked about this when that coaching change happened with the 30-day portal, where people leave. Again, it was a very short window. And then Michigan, it happened there. Nobody really left at Michigan. And I said this because there wasn't enough time. They had about 48 hours to leave. If they wouldn't have they had to leave and find a school within 48 hours. And if they did not, they basically would be in limbo until May. So nobody left. So you have to kind of see how that's working. It's like, hey, that's so-and-so there. We recruited them pretty heavily. We spoke to them a lot during that time. And now things have changed pretty drastically for them. I could see those guys headed into the portal. And student B and athlete C may not be a fit here. All right. So we've got these guys that we liked that we've already met with. They're still in the portal. Nobody's talked to them yet. Let's see how this thing plays out. Again, it's just very interesting watching this. And this, again, it's all new territory. Everybody's learning this thing as they go. So love hearing them say about that. My next part here, though, this gets me razzle-dazzled. This gets me juiced up, okay? Because I talked about recruiting. And I talked about when he was getting absolutely drugged for his 90th or 100th finish recruiting class. I go, nope, doesn't matter. Nobody cares. Why? Because if you go look at his transfer portal class, it was heavily recruited for sophomores, okay? And what did I say? Literally on the show, you can go back and clip it. I stated, look, you go get a guy that's a sophomore, you get past all the bull crap. They've already gone through a year. They've already done everything they wanted to do. They've got the test. Now it's like, okay, we're ready for business. You guys got all that freshman crap out of your way. Let's rock and roll. You got a year under your belt, straight business. Here's what he had to say about recruiting. I'm not saying that he watches the show.
Fulfilled. But with youngsters now, say we have a freshman. Only a few freshmen played for us last year and played handsomely with playing time. Now, if they don't challenge to have a starting position in the spring, most likely those kids are going to jump in the portal and want to go somewhere else. So now you're left. So what we rather do is go get a sophomore in college, a sophomore student that understands the bus stops, understand what time the class starts, they understand where they're going to eat, understand the meal time, understand how this stuff works. And we don't have to worry about them introducing themselves to the collegiate game. Because if you load your roster up with a bunch of freshmen, you're in for a heck of a season.
Hey, I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. Look, it's brilliant. I said it when it happened, when everybody was trying to rag him on him not having a top recruiting class. Look, I don't think you can ignore it, but there is a way to go around it. There is an art to it now, and I think you got to just pick and choose what you can go after and get, because, again, you're going to spend a lot of time. You're going to spend a lot of effort into recruiting, and next year they're just going to leave anyways, and you're going to find yourself in the same boat. So for what? Just go get somebody who's already been through that. And I'm not saying they're not going to recruit. They're going to continue to do that. You're going to pick and choose, but there's going to be a much more precise. I think the fantasy of them finishing top 50 or top 30 and just recruiting alone, it's a fantasy. It's a dream. That's not necessary. It's not going to happen. Overall, different story. How they attack the portal, completely different story. They finished top 20, 25 the last 2 years. I expect that to continue to happen, again, with the overall recruiting on top of the transfer portal class. And again, I just wanted to make sure that we're on the same page here. This is what was stated earlier. Now, next little bit, we got two last things here. Talks about the blenders situation and the Colorado coach calling him out about wearing a hat and glasses, and then he addresses the NIL, which we've talked about a ton on this show, but again, he breaks down even more, and I've got some insight here, but how he handles the blender situation. Two parts that I like about it. One, it's just kind of like, hey, he's preaching of how he handles and combats negativity coming his way, but also two, it's a recruiting moment all in one. Take a listen.
There's a couple occasions where coaches mouthed off and said stupid stuff, shades and hats and shoes. I love when you wear hats and shades. I don't care. In Sports Illustrated, I had on shades and a hat on the cover way back in the 80s.
Right.
That was me. That's who I am. That's how I get down. So for somebody to attack that and kind of throw my mama in it, that really was that now you got a problem. But I saw marketing and I saw opportunity because I just signed a deal with Blenders. I said, okay, watch us get down with this. Called Blenders. Send me a bunch of shades of this color right here, and this is what I'm gonna do. Bucky, Neely, you guys get ready because this is gonna be good. And we handed out shades to the whole team, and it went viral.
So two things. It's very easy to respond to that situation and just start hooting and hollering and yelling at somebody, get in their face, and there's a pull from Will Smith's book where his mom tells me, look, when two people are arguing, you both just look like idiots, okay? Because nobody knows what's going on. So it's very easy for him to get into a pissing contest with his coach. And guess what? You both look like idiots. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to settle down, and then we're going to flip it and reverse it, okay? We're going to double down on this thing. And if you're a kid watching this, and again, with the new age of NIL, which we're going to get into here in a moment, which is about name, image, and likeness, and capitalizing on your name and capitalizing on the brand that you are and capitalizing on sponsorships, right? This is perfect. And if he can teach you these things, coaches right now, head coaches, they don't think like that. They don't have that swagger, that mentality to capitalize it. They've never been in that world, right? They're just coaches. So it's a 2-in-1 there, which I loved and I wanted to share it. Last little bit in it, he talks about NIL and what it's supposed to be, which we've talked about before, what it's actually happening, and again, another opportunity of like, hey, this is how it should be working. I know they're doing these things, and also kind of speaks to where Colorado is in the sense of the NIL/collective landscape. Take a listen.
NIL is not really what you think it is. All these kids aren't getting NIL. These kids are getting collectives. Okay, collectives is if we took an offering up in this classroom, we passed the bucket like a church, and you put it's a collection plate, and you put your collective in, and then we say, you know what, we got 10 players up here, and let's divide that. That player right there should get $10. That player right there should get $20. That's a collective.
Yeah.
NIL is a name, image, and likeness. Since I got time today, I want you to tell me how many players in college football that you've seen on commercials.
So, again, he goes into this a little bit more, talking about why CEOs and big-time companies, why the NIL deals aren't as big as what people may think they are, and that why there is only so many fewer. And he talks about Shiloh and Shador and others like somebody mentioned Bo Nix and obviously Caleb Williams. He's on the Wendy's commercials. It's very limited of players that are actually getting NIL deals. Why is that? Well, because the CEO is not going to put all their eggs into one basket about a kid who could come off and pop off and do something crazy. They don't know. They don't know what they're getting themselves into. So it's not NIL paying these kids. It's collectives, which the Colorado's collective is growing and it is expanding. But we've talked about this before. When you're going up against the likes of the Ole Miss and the Alabamas and the A&Ms and the Michigans and the Ohio States, that have been around and that just have a ton of money just to literally throw at the wall. Caleb Downs is to be said the safety that went to Ohio State at a 7-figure contract. Like that's not an NIL deal. That is a collective. That is literally just somebody paying that person to play. And so Coach Prime in Colorado don't have that same luxury at the moment, right? Not everybody's just throwing money at this because the collective is still new. So you're asking people to donate, like he said at church, to this foundation, and whether it's going to have a return or not is still unknown for some schools. So there's a little bit of a hesitation. So what Coach Prime does, what he does well always is again, all right, how do we take the situation we're in and we pivot it? So the NIL, we've already shown that we've plucked 3 of our kids, and Travis Hunter, Shador, and Shiloh into that NIL spotlight. Now you can argue that it's just his sons, but also too, I mean Travis Hunter is him, it's not his son, claims to be his son, but you have somebody at the helm in Coach Prime that knows his way around the market, that knows his way around signing deals, and a lot of the kids on Colorado signed blender deal. Again, the sunglasses. So it's not as big, not commercials, but those are actual NIL deals, not just collectives, which in reality is the big money. This collective thing is kind of wishy-washy. You don't know what's going to check out, what's not going to come in. You're hoping that somebody who is donating will give you that money. So it's through a third-party organization versus a corporate, a corporate 500 company. So very interesting there. A lot broken down in this video. It's a 45-minute video on Well Off Media. Go check it out. It's everyone asks great questions, and Coach Prime is pretty open about it. He always is very open about his thoughts and his answers on things. So I loved it. I enjoyed watching it and breaking it down and giving you my thoughts and opinions. If you guys have any thoughts on it yourselves, be sure to leave a comment down below and smash the like button and subscribe. We're almost at 9,000, so it means a lot if you help us get there, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.